In what feels like a lifetime ago, I was a manager at EB Games. Midnight launches, which were dreaded by many staff, were actually some of my favourite nights of the year. Whether it was Battlefield fans in full military cosplay or dollar store Vikings welcoming Skyrim, these events just felt like a celebration of gaming, and it was at its loudest and most joyful. So when I found myself hunched over a mug of coffee, alone in my darkened living room, quietly counting down the digital unlock of Civilization 7, it hit me. Not only do I miss the midnight launches, I also finally understood why they disappeared. As my coffee grew cold, I found myself doom scrolling through my phone. None of my friends were awake, and I had no one to share my excitement with. I recalled walking into my local retailer a week or so before. The salesperson told me how excited he was for the game, and we got to chatting about it. I asked him if there was a chance that they were doing a midnight launch since the digital version of my collector's edition came out earlier, and he looked at me puzzled and said, we don't really do those anymore. I eventually went back in to cancel my order and bought the digital version using eShop cards. He had a defeated look on his face as he would be down a KPI, and I sympathetically told him that it just came down to the digital version being playable almost a week before I could get my hands on a physical copy. As I looked around the shop while he proceeded to cancel my order, I could already see the impacts of digital delivery and how things have just changed in the gaming landscape. The PC section was exclusively hardware, Xbox was down to 2 bays, and while Nintendo and Sony had a few more bays on offer, Game Pass was obviously a huge factor in Xbox reduction, as well as Steam and other digital platforms making physical PC games pretty much obsolete. Not only did midnight launches seem to be extinct, but it also seemed like retailers were fighting for survival in the new digital landscape. One of my favourite moments from the era of midnight launches was the Battlefield 3 launch. I actually set up a Nerf gun firing range inside my store, and I watched as many people turned up in full military cosplay, completely immersing themselves in the excitement. It was chaotic and over the top and pretty much wonderful. While the game ended up being fantastic too, that also just made the whole experience feel even more worthwhile with others. And the funny thing was, because I genuinely cared, I felt like hitting the targets didn't really feel like work, and it was all rather easy. Customers loved it, the vibe was electric, people weren't just excited, they were buzzing. You'd get your regulars who made these launches their own kind of ritual as well, and I felt like while the actual sales part of it was over in 15 minutes after midnight, the memories really stuck around for far longer. I'll never forget the Skyrim launch. One customer came in nearly shaking with excitement. The game had broken street date and he was like a kid on Christmas morning. But not everybody really understood that. I remember having a middle manager and she was giving him a weird look, like he was a bit too old to be into that video game. She wasn't really a gamer, and I guess she didn't get it. She just didn't understand what it finally meant to jump into the new Elder Scrolls game, to be a part of something that the whole community had collectively been waiting for. Sure, the sales were great, but the real payoff was sharing that joy with another fan. Ironically, one of the biggest game launches in recent years, Animal Crossing's New Horizon, landed right as COVID hit. It was a title tailor-made for a joyful community celebration, and instead we were all stuck on isolation. I did write about this before, and I feel like Nintendo also caught a lightning in a bottle, but that moment just drove home how much things had changed. Another major factor in the decline was how bloated and cynical the pre-order system had become. What used to be a simple reservation for either a standard or collector's edition turned into a hard-to-decipher maze of ultimate, gold, deluxe versions, each with different day one bonuses or early access windows. From a gamer's point of view, I feel like we were being milked. And when those games additionally launched in a rough state, unfinished or missing promising features, it just confirmed players' worst suspicions. Why get hyped when instead you just get burnt? The beginning of the end in my eyes really started with the current generation of consoles. By the time the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X rolled out, there just wasn't the same energy around game releases. Digital distribution had gained serious momentum, and you could just preload games days in advance and have it ready to go the second it launched. No late night queues, no receipt sorting, no Viking helmets required. I still remember the launch of No Man's Sky. That game had so much promise, so much ambition, and it just couldn't live up to the hype on release. Don't get me wrong, it's an incredible game now. It's probably one of my favourites. But the damage was done in that first week and it just kind of stuck with people. It's now hard to organise a party or a launch or a celebration even around this cautious optimism. And if I had to boil it down, the death of midnight launches came from a mix of factors. The rise of digital storefronts and preload culture, a community burned too many times by overhyped titles, and a breakdown of trust between publishers and players. You just can't build that same excitement when people are asking now, what's the catch, instead of, where's the line? There's something quietly heartbreaking about the way it just all faded. Midnight launches weren't just about getting the game early, they were about the moment. About lining up with strangers who, for that one night, felt like old friends. About arguing over which character was the best, swapping theories on where the plot would go, or even trading war stories from the previous games. There was just such a sense of community, of shared passion, and of course, a little bit of chaos. I don't think we talk enough about how important that physical connection was to the culture. The laughs we had, the inside jokes we did with regulars, the quiet satisfaction of seeing a line of excited faces stretch out the door. Those things mattered. And even though launches only lasted for a few hours, the energy that came from them carried on into our workdays and our conversations for weeks afterwards. They reminded us why we loved games in the first place. These days, everything feels a bit quieter. It's more efficient, for sure, but it's also colder. There's no crowd cheering when the clock ticks over to midnight, no midnight snack run when you've secured your copy, no war paint or cosplay or last minute tips shared in line. It's just you, your screen, and that countdown timer. That being said, we haven't lost everything. We have gained accessibility. Not everyone could make it to the midnight event, whether it was the distance, social anxiety, or just a busy life. Now, anyone can preload and play the moment a game drops. Digital access has made gaming more convenient and more inclusive. Despite the cynicism that's crept into the community, gamers are still here, still excited, and still passionate. The conversation has just moved online into Discord servers, Reddit threads, YouTube comment sections. It's different, but it's not dead. Still, every now and then when I sit alone in my living room, watching the minutes tick down until a game unlocks, I can't help but miss the sound of a Nerf dart whizzing past my head, or the cheer that went up when the doors finally opened at 11:59 PM. Midnight launches may be gone, but I'll always remember them as a celebration of what we all love so much, and that's video games. The way we play games has changed, and the events that brought us together at midnight might be faded into memory, but the heart of it is still the same. Games continue to give us stories to explore, worlds to get lost in, and reasons to connect. Whether you're lined up outside a store in the cold or sitting alone with a warm drink waiting for that digital countdown to hit 0, that excitement, it's real and it matters. So talk about the games you love, invite a friend to play, throw your own launch party, even if it's just you and a pizza in your PJs. Because games aren't something we just play. They're something we feel, anticipation, joy, nostalgia. Midnight might be quieter now, but that magic that gaming brings us, that's still there. Thanks so much for watching my video. If you liked it, the best way you can support What's It Like is by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with your friends. For more reviews, click on the thumbnails to the right, and for everything Nintendo, check out whatsitlike.com.au.